Hello traders, this is Francesco and today's video is about Euro USD. Again, we're looking at price action and we're looking at what is moving it and what we can conclude. My video on Wednesday was concentrating on a particular move, which looking at the futures chart here, the hourly, I showed you to be here, and this was this kind of big volume spike by volume accompanied by flaggish buy hourly candle here at the start of the trading day, and that pushed the price past 113 and up confidently past 113.50. Now since the price has declined, it's probably too early to sing victory, up and past 114, and we've had a huge sell candle and volume. It's quite a strong one, and we're back towards 113. So basically the work of 2 days has been undone. Well, basically it's been 48 hours of going back. It's Groundhog Day basically. Looking at the spot effects, you can see here spot effects that we've got actually a bit of a thing going on, and I sort of made this into the 4 hour because I noticed that there was a bit of a pattern going on in 4 hours. Now if you look at the moves that the Euro USD is going through at the moment, they are fairly constrained, quite choppy, so we're kind of sticking between 112 and 113. We've been around that for quite a bit. I'm not going to go into that at the moment, but just from memory, you know, obviously the variations further down and further up, but basically let's say for a few weeks we've been loitering around the 113. It's like a huge magnet. Either we're below it or above it. We're not really moving far. So since kind of relinquishing 114, that's what we've been. So I went back to the 4 hour because I saw something there, and it looks like a slight uptrend forming within the 4 hours. It's kind of, this takes us back to the end of June, 26th of June, and obviously it's not a huge period of time to conclude that it's a longer uptrend necessarily. You don't really see it on the daily, it's more on the 4 hourly, so it's a kind of a mini trend if you like. And so from the channel you can kind of be quite a perfectionist and say, well, it's not really a channel as such because of this and that, the way you've drawn it. But anyway, just approximately you can see the higher highs forming and the higher lows as well. Now I've put the RSI there because on the daily you don't really see much of a difference, but on the 4 hours you can see that while this is going up, the RSI is peaking at the same level then. So we're about 66, so slightly in kind of overbought territory. That would be 70 that you're looking for, but essentially or even 80 if you want to set it that way. But essentially you know, it's actually not quite a divergence, but it's just saying that it's not really going any higher, so there could be a slight divergence. So maybe this mini trend up is not really really worth kind of thinking you know, bullishly about essentially. So that's one thing. And then if you kind of take this out temporarily and just kind of scrap it, and I'm gonna basically do something else, which is to make this a daily. There you go, there's your daily. You can see that the range is quite narrow, and I'm sure if you stuck a you know, average true range indicator, ATR, with 14-day period, you probably see that the range is quite low compared to what we've had in February with sort of massive moves, 8% up, 8% down. So we kind of got stuck in this little area here. Prices on the left, and I'll explain why in a second. So you know, here's your 112 something, and here's your kind of 113 something. You can see that since kind of middle of June we've been stuck in this kind of area between 112 and 113 something. Yeah, so that's quite a few days of kind of uncertainty there. So essentially not really moving much from coming up from 109. We're kind of be stuck here for a few days. And if you look at the RSI there, it's not really giving us much of a clue because it's kind of following the price up there. But of course, this mini move up, it's not reflected. So again, maybe slight divergence. It's kind of flat on the RSI and slightly moving up here, inching up. So we'll have to see how this develops. The other thing I was going to say was there's been talk of you know, equities moving up and down, etc., etc. So I've kind of put the SP 500 as an overlay here, the red line, and you can see where we are. So it's actually been kind of inching higher and then dropping a little bit and then moving higher again, sort of following the Euro USD. So, you know, this slight drop here today, you could say that that's kind of reflected in the Euro USD. Some people say risk off, some people say something to do with Donald Trump and his financial affairs, etc., etc. So I guess you could say that investors are nervous. So here's the S&P 500 just by itself. I changed colors, this time it's the blue, and you can see on the monthly chart, this obviously was the early 2001, then we had the 2007, 2008, and it seemed at some point like every 7 years there was like a cycle, so down, top, down, and then we went past that, and it's been a long time, and that sort of cycle, which would have taken us to about 2014-15, has not materialized. So we got to these levels again, continued to rise, and it has continued since, thanks possibly to the Fed's liquidity measures, but essentially we are at all-time highs. That's, you know, as per December, and then we've not really topped those December highs, and you can analyze kind of the rate of movement, etc. So these are proving a bit of a sticking point, these highs, and we've sort of had, you know, the COVID drop and moving up. So we're trying to sort of see if we go past this. But you know, if you look on a monthly chart, sort of it's looking like they are climbing back up from that dip and possibly going to exceed that top. So if the euro is, you know, linked to that sort of risk on, risk off, then possibly. You can see, interesting, on the monthly, the RSI, which I've left on, is showing a divergence there from this point on. And so from January 2018, it's kind of showing a divergence and going lower, while the SP is going higher. There's quite a long time to be diverging, and nothing really has happened, so I wouldn't sort of really think that that's going to turn things around. Finally, the last thing I'm going to show you is, so the question is, what is the next kind of attractive level to buy euro at? And I said a couple of videos ago that the options heat map is using 114, showing the 114 as the highest number here of contracts, so quite an attractive level, obviously, for calls to buy. A lot of interest there. And that hasn't changed this week so far, so it remains at 114, hasn't fluctuated, and I think that 114 is still a strong level, although we have dipped, obviously, and you know, you could say that we're just below 113. We could quite easily climb back up if things change, mood changes, etc. So I keep my eyes open for 114 as a strong level to go towards. But obviously, you know, no harm sort of intraday trading this range between 112 and 113. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in my next one.